In this screencast, I'm going to give a quick tour of the ArchivesSpace build system. So any build-related activity is triggered by running the build run script, and there are various tasks that this allows you to do. There's also a build run.bat script for Windows people, and it's pretty much the same either way. So if we look at build run.bat, you can see all we're really doing here is running ant. Yes, that's right, we use ant. It's deeply unfashionable, but it works quite well for us. So one of the reasons we like ant in this case is because it works just as well on Unix and Windows, and we would like people to be able to use both. And we've always tried to make it the case that the only dependency for running ArchivesSpace is Java. And since we're written in JRuby, we immediately have a bootstrapping problem because Java doesn't come with JRuby, obviously, and we need some way of making it possible for people to download JRuby no matter which platform they're on. And so for us, ant fills this need. It provides basic functionality for doing things like downloading a file and running shell commands and this sort of thing. So for the way we use it in ArchivesSpace, it works quite nicely. So that's my defensive ant, and I'm not going to say any more about it. But you can see when I run build run, it shows a list of all of the different tasks that the build script supports. And I'm just going to go through some of the more interesting ones of these. So as a developer, the ones you'll see the most are the things with dev server in the name. So we have build run backend dev server is going to start an instance at the ArchivesSpace backend running in development mode. We also have build run front-end dev server, which starts up the Rails staff interface. There's a build run public dev server for starting up the public app. And there's also a build run indexer, which maybe should be called indexer dev server, and that runs the indexer process, which will read records from the backend and send them to Solr to be indexed. And I just note that the build run backend dev server task actually does run Solr as well. In addition to the development servers, we also use the build run script for running the various test suites. So we have build run backend test, we'll run the unit tests for the backend. We also have build run backend integration, which will run the sort of high level integration tests for the backend. We have build run front end test, which I'm not actually sure does anything, but it gets run anyway. Build run common test is the tests for the JSON model classes and things like that. We also have build run Selenium test and build run Selenium public test, which are going to run the full end-to-end browser-based tests that we have for the entire system. We also have a couple of little tasks here that are useful while you're developing. So build run dbnuke will delete the contents of your database, and build run dbmigrate will create the initial schema from the SQL migrations files. For lovers of numbers, we also have build run coverage, which runs the coverage reports, so you can see what our test coverage is like. But possibly the most important part of this is the build run dist. So build run dist is what builds everything, so it builds WAR files out of the various Rails applications, and it turns them into the archivespace.zip file, which is the file that gets distributed to users as the kind of binary version of the system. So the first thing build run dist does is run a build run bootstrap, and bootstrap's responsible for downloading JRuby and Solr and all of the gems that the applications depend on. So that's getting the system ready to go. And build run bootstrap will usually be the first thing you run when you check out a fresh copy of the repository, because you want to set up your working directory to include all of those dependencies. So build run dist does that too. It sets up the working directory with everything that's needed, and then it goes through one by one, building each of the applications and setting up that initial zip file and putting all the readmes into the right place and that sort of thing. So if you're building a new version of the application to be sent out to users, then build run dist is the thing you want.